Hi, my name is Dan Schmitt. I do a weekly television show called Team Chicago Challenge. My website is teamchicago.tv, teamchicago.tv. I'm in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. In the next 10 or 12 or 15 minutes, I'm going to try to show you as much as I can. We're going to look at some of the warbirds, B-25s, trainers from World War II. It's an action-packed 10 or 15 minutes. Don't forget the website, teamchicago.tv. As we see this propeller-driven Cessna aircraft, one of the hundreds of airplanes, aircraft, industries at the EAA AirVenture, Whitman Field, Oshkosh, Wisconsin. If you want a personal jet, this is the place to be. You can order planes, you can look at planes, you look at jets, you look at propeller-driven aircraft. Nearly everybody in the aviation industry is at Whitman Field. Was this personal jet sell for? I don't know. But it's there at the EAA AirVenture. As we see this B-17, this represents one of the hundreds of warbirds that come to the EAA AirVenture. The warbirds from prior to World War II, during World War II, the Korean conflict, Vietnam, aircraft is in private hands and museums. But the AirVenture is so much more. EAA is Experimental Aircraft Association. If you want to learn about sheet metal, fabric, welding, all the parts of putting together your own airplane, the information is here at the EAA AirVenture. Manufacturers of different products send their representatives to make sure that you know how to use their products. You want to build an airplane? There are people here to give you advice and give you great tips. And also at the AirVenture and at Whitman Field is where the museum, the EAA Museum, and some of the planes that I had an opportunity to look at include the Puffer Cozy. Now this was built by Nat Puffer. He had a Rotan Varies, and then he bought another kit, put them together, and built a two-seater. Now Burt Rutan was not very happy with this, but he's made himself a fine aircraft. How about a Heathkit Paracel, the Super Paracel? This was a kit that was sold during the 20s and the 30s from the Heath Aircraft Corporation in Niles, Michigan. If you wanted to build your own airplane during the Great Depression, Heath Aircraft was one place to go. The Perea Schiffner Osprey II was an airplane built by George Perea in answer to the great demand on his Osprey I, which was designed to land in water. The Osprey II was a two-seater and it included landing gear. The Questar Venture 200 was an airplane designed for the basic perfect to provide fast, comfortable personal transportation for two people. The Benson B-11 gyrocopter, powered by a McCullen two-cycle 72 horsepower engine, may be the most popular home-built aircraft since 1972. The Meyer Special flew in many, many air shows. It represents an aerobatic airplane that is reminiscent of an abbreviated clipped wing Cub. Howard Pete Meyer flew many air show performances, especially at EAA Gathering. The Lester Peel was an airplane designed with the intention of setting new distance records in the 500 kilogram class. Ed planned to set many records with this aluminum-clad aircraft. And this year is the 60th anniversary of the EAA that got their start back in 1953. This photo from 1961 shows Paul Berberesny in the basement of his home conducting one of the many, many meetings of the EAA. I doubt he ever dreamt that the Experimental Aircraft Association would grow to be this big. It is also the 60th anniversary of the end of the Korean War. As we look at this MiG-15 and this Sabre F-86, we'll get back to these planes later and talk a little bit about the Korean War. But the EAA AirVenture is so much more. Even the Batmobile made an appearance at the 2013 EAA AirVenture. This is the Batmobile from the TV show, and it was brought to us by the Ford Motor Company, one of the biggest sponsors of the EAA AirVenture. And Ford Motor Company built airplanes in the 1920s and the 1930s. They built airliners, and they had plans to build airports all across America. As you look at this Batmobile, you can see that it takes its styling from the T-Bird and the Lincoln Continental. We are in front of the Lincoln Motor Company booth, which is part of the Ford Motor Company display. And it looks like the Lincoln MKZ takes some of its styling points from the Batmobile. But the AirVenture is so much more as we come across an engine seminar put on by Zenith Aircraft Company. As we look at this 4-cylinder engine built in Texas, we're going to find out more about this manufacturer from Texas from Tim Moreland.
Good morning, I'm Tim Moreland from Engine Components International based in San Antonio, Texas. Right now we're in the Zenith Aircraft Company's booth. They have what's called Engine Day, and they've invited several engine manufacturers from around the world to come and display the engines that fit in their variety of airframes. What we brought today is a 4-cylinder engine rated at 80 horsepower, but it'll generate 180 at takeoff. We call it the 340 because it represents the displacement of the engine. Has the same size and weight of a Lycoming 320, but you have an additional 20 cubic inches and 20 more horsepower. This engine is flying in Cub-type aircraft, RVs, Velocities, Canard-style aircraft, and we have over 1,700 engines flying across the world now.
All right, so you're located in Texas? Where in Texas?
San Antonio, Texas.
Okay.
Right across from the International Airport. So it's an easy 5-minute drive. If you ever want to take a factory tour, give us a call. We're happy to walk you through. We have 135 employees, been in business 70 years.
Making engines for 70 years.
We started out in the repair business, repairing cylinders. Manufacturing new PMA, FAA PMA certified parts has been in the last 20 years, and the engine business has been in about the last 8.
Okay, but this is all designed in Texas, built in Texas.
That's
and
right.
All American components.
That is correct. We get castings from New York and forgings from the eastern United States. We have CNC equipment that we manufacture, machine and assemble these parts in our facility in San Antonio.
Give me your website.
www.eci.aero, eci.aero.
Great, thank you.
Hey, thank you.
Thank you, Tim, and thank you for all your great information as we look at this group of P-51s, some of the warbirds, at the AirVenture. We're also looking at a three-wheel Morgan, a vehicle that would have been running around the roads in England during World War II. And now we're looking at the machine guns on the P-51 that is painted to look like a P-51 during the Korean War. And we had a chance to talk to the owner, John Vesley.
My name's John Vesley from Scottsdale, Arizona, and this is a P-51 Mustang that we call Was That Too Fast? And this airplane was recently restored, flew for the first time in over 50 years, approximately 3 weeks ago. So it's probably as fresh as a restoration as you can get. And the P-51 originally flew in World War II and continued use into the Korean War. And with this restoration, we've tried to honor the men and women who were in Korea. And so it is marked and restored with a lot of the detail and paint schemes from the Korean War. Everything from the guns to the rockets and bombs that you see underneath the wing.
Do you fly?
I do fly. I have another P-51 Mustang as well named Live Bait, and that sits down in Scottsdale, Arizona. I fly that very regularly. It's painted and detailed in a World War II scheme, and I tend to fly that once or twice a week. I have not flown this one yet, but hopefully will in the next couple weeks.
There aren't many of these airplanes that are then configured for the Korean look, so what inspired you to do that?
Well, it's the last week was the 60th anniversary of the end of the Korean War, and so knowing we'd be here this week, and there's a lot of beautiful Mustangs out there. They're all beautiful, but there aren't very many that are detailed in the Korean War paint scheme. So we just wanted to be a little bit different. We wanted to honor people that were in the Korean War for their service, and hopefully we did that with this, and so that's why we made that choice.
Is there a website where somebody can get more information?
Actually, if you go to midwestaero.com, you can get a lot of information about the folks that restored this, and also, if I remember correctly, there's a whole host of pictures about the pre and post restoration, and so you can get more detail there.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, John. What a beautiful airplane. And now we're looking at a U.S. Navy Corsair, another airplane that's seen service in World War II and into the Korean War. We had a chance to talk to the owner, Jim Tobo, as he tells us about the Korean War hero.
I'm Jim Tobel, and I brought in a 1945 Chance Vought F4U Corsair. It was a premier fighter for the United States back in the 40s, and World War II, Korea, and all the way through the 50s.
Now, I noticed you got Marine Corps colors. Is that what this is based on, would you say?
Well, this particular aircraft has over 200 combat missions in Korea. It was served on the USS Valley Forge, the Boxer, and also the Riscony, and has rich naval history. After it was retired from the U.S. Navy, it wound up in Honduras and fought in the El Salvador-Honduras War. They called it the Soccer War. And it made it through that war and then was trucked back in pieces into the United States 1977. And we acquired that aircraft in 1981 in parts and pieces. Took us, Dad and I, 10 years to build it. And in 1991, it flew again.
Oh, really? So this has been a family project for 20 years, 25 years?
Absolutely.
So you were involved with putting this thing back together, chasing down the parts?
Absolutely, and making what you don't have. If you can't find it, you had to make it.
Where do you live? Where do you store this thing, and how often do you get to fly it?
I live outside of Charleston, South Carolina, right between Columbia and Charleston. I fly it all over the East Coast and do air shows. I'm also on the Navy Legacy flight team. I'm one of the qualified pilots to fly with the Super Hornet. I represent the days gone by with the fighter, and then of course we have the frontline Super Hornet. So that's an interesting program. Although the sequester took all that out, plus the Blue Angels and everything this year. So
would you like to try to land this on an aircraft carrier?
It would be challenging.
But they did it all the time
They
during the
did it
Korean
all
War,
the
right?
time. Those 17-year-old kids were amazing.
Any website where people can go to see more information on this craft?
Absolutely. It's www.koreanwarhero.com. And there's pictures of this aircraft flying off the Boxer, the Valley Forge. A lot of great history on this aircraft on the website.
Thank you, Jim. What a beautiful aircraft. And now we're watching a flight of T6 Texans as they celebrate their 75th anniversary.
It is the soldier and not the poet who has given us freedom of speech. It is the soldier and not the reporter who has given us freedom of the press. It is the soldier and not the campus organizer who has given us the freedom to demonstrate. And it is the soldier who salutes the flag, who serves beneath the flag, and whose coffin is draped by the flag, who gives the protester the right to burn the flag.
If we look at this F-86 Sabre, the aircraft that won the Korean War, we fought for the South Korean freedom, and they have embraced the free enterprise system, capitalism. They have bettered their lives. They have embraced Christianity, and they are now making cars that are being sold in the United States. As we look at this MiG-15, it is a sexier looking aircraft, but we have to remember it was built by the dirty communists, whether they were in Russia or China. But the Sabre jet, the F-86, was a superior aircraft, and now we are buying automobiles from South Korea. Majority of smartphones are built by the South Koreans. We should be proud that they are our allies, and they should be proud that the United States of America came to their aid. And as we watch the dueling pianos ending Thursday, August 1st at the AirVenture, and we watch a couple pair of flyers join us 2014, July 28th through August 3rd. EAA.org, airventure.org, teamchicago.tv, walkwithdan.com.
Hook up with that guy. Because this song pretty much sums up what our show's about. It's about bringing people together, having some laughs, having a good time. Sing this with me.